Hello YouTube. I'm making a video on the new Android O emojis, and there's been big news on at the new event called I/O at Google, and basically they changed all the emojis. They redesigned all the blobs. There's no more blobs. They turned all the blobs into circles. So here on Emojipedia, they already kind of announced that here, but that's after the announcements have already been made. So basically, the blobs are dead. No more blobs. On the top, you see these four emojis. These are brand new emojis that are going to be added into. So that's kind of like what they look like. So the blobs have been around for ages until now. They turn into circles just like how iOS does it. And so basically, that was their plan, to make the emojis look like the iOS emojis. I mean, I kind of like them, but I'm going to miss those blobs. So definitely an end of an era. So here's what they look like. The heart eyes from Nougat. I'm telling you, those Nougat emojis were probably the best emojis. It just gave the Android, it had character. Instead of just going back and starting to make them look like the iOS. I mean, because we want Google to be superior to iOS. You don't want to be the same. And this Android O version is making it look more like the iOS. So here's a timeline evolution of the kiss emoji that everyone loves to use. 2016 on Nougat, that's what it looks like. But now it looks like the iOS in 2017 with the Android O, which will probably be called, hopefully it's going to be called Android Oreo 8.0. So the complete redesign of the emojis. And here's another version of the original emojis that first came out. They're all black, and even used the Android robot guy. So I like the laugh out loud emoji. It looks really good. It looks almost exactly like the iPhone one, the iPhone emoji on the Android O beta. Looks really good, but I'm gonna miss the blobs. So here's what they look like here. I'm going to talk about the ones I think they're actually really good. I'm going to talk about the ones that are kind of like they're okay, and I'm going to talk about the ones that should have, like, they changed and it doesn't look good. As you can see, this is what they look like. They look pretty good, but a lot like the iOS emojis. I like the cat ones here. They look pretty good. The shit face over here too looks nice. So like they added more detail to the emojis. There's outline around them. The people ones, they have eyebrows to them now. And the job ones here, a whole bunch of them. So I'm gonna kind of scroll through a lot of it. So I like this Prince one here. These are a few new ones here. The bearded guy here. It's a new one. The blonde hair is pretty new. The guy with a tuxedo getting married, and his wife here looks nice. And they changed the pregnant lady. Looks better. And they even have one that's a lady's getting breastfeeding. Pretty good. And they have a mage now. They have a fairy. They even have this vampire here. A woman vampire, a vampiress, and a vampire. So it looks pretty good. They have a mermaid. So they have a lot of new emojis. The mermaid, I think they should have made it look a lot more curvy. Look like Ariel from The Little Mermaid. It would have looked a lot better. They have a elf here, a genie. The blue ones, and the green one is a zombie. So they changed a lot of emojis and it looks pretty nice. Here they changed the walk picture. It looks I think it's a little bit different. There's more detail on the face, but they completely changed the run one from Nougat. So it looks a lot better than how it was in Nougat. This is one of the good ones here. The dance lady dancing looks good, but I always hated the male one. It looks stupid. So looks pretty good. Again, we're on Emojipedia looking at this. So here's the basketball one here. It looks really nice. Weightlifter here. So it looks very similar to Nougat, but it's just like more detailed. There's a little bit more. There's some kind of shading to it a little bit. I see that motorcycle one. A juggler here. The selfie one changed. The strong one here changed slightly. The hearts, they have red hearts now instead of pink hearts. You know, the heavy heart is now red now. For whatever reason, they always had pink ones. And I like how they changed the green. It looks a lot better. It looks like real green now. The animal ones, they're way more detailed than the way it was on Nougat. The animals are really look a lot better. So just like iOS redesigned their emojis on iOS 10, you know, in some sense, you know, the Android did need a re-update to their emojis. You know, they needed to do updates to their emojis to look better. But a lot of people, including myself, I still like the blobs of the Android because it just gave Android a lot more character and just kind of like different from the rest of the crowd, especially iOS. Now this rocket looks almost exactly like the iOS rocket. There was one I should have seen. I like the city ones here. You know, with the night and the bridge here and the sunset. Those look really nice. You know, I like all this. It even has Japan here and the mountain and all that. It looks really colorful and really, really nice. They really designed them. It looks a lot better. And this freeway one here, they changed there's a lot more design. The green is really green, like the boards when you're on the freeway or the highways, interstate freeways. So that's kind of like, you can go back and look at some of these on your own. I'm gonna check on the ones here that I kind of like looked at, and this is the way it looks like on Nougat. If you look on the face with tears of joy, that's the way it looks like, and I like the way those teeth look. But I kind of like the new Google one way better because it looks like the Apple one, and the Apple one looks good. I actually think the Google one looks better than the Apple one. So these are the rest of the other people, and they don't look as good. The new Google on Android O looks probably the best, better than the old Nougat. Let's look at this one here. This is the newest one of the newer ones, but that's the way it looks like on Nougat. And Apple released this version on iOS 10. So this is how it looks like on the new Android. I think it looks really good. You know, like the water, like the tears coming out, like even on the laugh out, you know, loud, like the other one I just looked at. Um, you know, tears of joy, that's what it's called. It's like the water's like really too blue, and like this one, like rolling on the floor laughing, it's like a little bit too slanted. I think they need to fix that, like make it look more like the Apple one. I like this Microsoft one; it looks really cool. And they make it like this Emojipedia version. So that one looks pretty good. That's some of the good ones. Like this one right here is really good. Looks very almost exactly like the Apple one. I like how they put a tongue in there. This one's called smiling face with open mouth and smiling eyes. So it looks similar to how it was on the original. You know, like the eyes, it was very simple, like just like one line, but now it's like really thick on for the eyes. Kind of like the way it used to look here. So that's how the other companies made theirs. Here's a heart eyes one. The way it looked like a nougat. It's a really popular one to use. I like using it a lot. So like they made the eyes, they put the little red things on the bottom of the hearts. Looks kind of weird, but like should have made it more by the mouth, so it looks like cheeks. But it looks, you know, still really good because even for nougat, I like the nougat version. Like I think they should have put those little red things like how they did on the nougat version, where on this. Look, so look, the Google one looks similar to the Microsoft one, except for the mouth. The mouth looks similar to the old nougat version. I've never liked the Samsung version or LG. It looks a lot like the Facebook Messenger, the new Google, even Twitter. So it looks really good. Like this one right here is a little goofy one. They made it look exactly like the Apple one. That's the way it used to look, and I think the new way looks better than the old nougat. Face throwing a kiss emoji. Probably the most popular emoji around. It was actually another one, but we're gonna talk about that later. So it looks exactly like the Apple one. I've never liked the way the Messenger did theirs. It looks like the lips look too big. So now, like on Nougat, the red heart, which is a heavy heart, is just a pink heart on Nougat. For whatever reason, all the Google, they've always had the red heart, always a pink heart, and it looks stupid. It's just dumb. So now it finally changed it to a red heart, like how Apple always did it. And look how it looks, the design, it looks like a little bit of shading to it. So it looks really nice. All the other companies do it like that too. And sparkling heart, how they did it on Nougat. And this is the way it's always been for almost all the emojis of Android. It always look like this, except on the first one it was black with white stars like that. But now that white stars with red heart looks really good. And here's the other companies. And green's my favorite color, so I had to talk about the green heart. And I've always hated the green heart on the Nougat. So now green looks like green. If you look, you can look at the other versions. I should have did that earlier. But that's how the green heart looked. The emoji one looks kind of like how Nougat did it. Let's see what we have here. So look at how it looked. Oh, actually it has crosses on there, like lines across it. So it didn't look that good. No, I had to talk about this one here. This is the ass emoji or butt emoji. When you're talking about some girl with a big butt, I mean, got us guys like this. I mean, a lot of girls like to post this butt on their emoji, or like on their pictures or whatever, if they want to show off or whatever. But this is like they really did good. Google did their emoji and it looks like almost like the Apple one, and the Nougat version is like pretty close to it, except that it was just a different color. So I like it. Look at the 4.4. So they had slight differences on theirs. Look at Samsung's. It looks stupid. And look at Messenger. That's terrible. The eggplant. The eggplant, look how this is the one that everyone knows of. This is supposed to be the cock here, or dick. Unfortunately, don't even get any crazy ideas, because I'm just talking about the emoji. So the eggplant that's the way it looked. It didn't look like what it's supposed to look like. And Apple did it like what it's supposed to look like. And finally Google got on board with that. So it looks like the dick, and a lot of girls like using that, of course, when they're flirting with their boyfriend or whoever. And that's one for the girls to look at if they want to use that. And here's the wine. I just kind of talked about this because I thought it looked pretty cool. So that's the way it looked like on a Nougat. It's kind of like it's something you use with vampires. The cocktail glass. And it's like pretty similar to the way you look like on Samsung. Has a lot of detail. Pretty similar. Tropical drink. See, it has very little detail on the original Nougat. But look at its apples, and now look at it has way more detail now. A lot better than it was before. These are some emojis I like using. The beer mug. The Apple one. And the new Google one. Actually, the new Google one looks better. No, the old Nougat version looks better than the new Google Android O. The LG design actually looks pretty good. Looks like real beer. Clinging beer mugs. So it looks very similar to Android O. Just a little bit more detail. Like you can see bubbles in there. Clinging glasses. And here's a cityscape here on Nougat. I like using this one. Looks a lot better on the Google version. Night with stars. So it's like the cityscape with stars at night. Apple always puts a picture, like a frame around it. I don't like that. It looks better the way Google does it. Samsung looks like so plain. And here's a highway, which they call motorway. Look how it's so lacking in color and not enough green. The sign is blue, but now they changed it and it looks more like how iPhone does theirs, Apple. But still similar to how they did it here. So it looks really good. This is the freeway, interstate highways. Microsoft did theirs kind of cool. Emoji one. And here's the video game one. The emoji looks just like the Google Games app. So it has the same icon. So Google changed that, and it looks really, really nice. So this is a video game one for game controller. Microsoft has an Xbox controller. Samsung has a really terrible one. LG, all these other ones. The Google really made theirs look really good. It has detail, like it's shaded. Looks better than the Apple one. Is a mobile phone, and this is how it used to look. It looks like a Samsung phone, because a lot of Samsung was always the Google's main guy or company to show off Google and their Android. But now Google's making their own phones, and now they finally decided to change their emoji. And look at the iPhone for theirs. The mobile phone emoji looks just like an iPhone. Now finally Google decided to make theirs look like the Nexus or Google Pixel. And it even has the navigation bar in the bottom, which is really cool. I like how they did that. Microsoft made this look like those Lumia phones that used to be Nokia phones. And Samsung, of course, made theirs look like a Samsung phone. LG, this looks like a tablet, LG. And the rest of them is just kind of like generic emoji. Emoji Dex looks like a flip phone. But I really like the emoji for this one. Apple did theirs as an iPhone, and Google basically made theirs like a Nexus or a Pixel. And here's the last one of the good ones I'm going to talk about. The pistol. Apple made theirs, turned it on iOS 10. They changed it into a green pistol. It looks like a water gun. It used to look like that, and Google kept that. Look how Google had theirs originally. So they did good with that. All the other companies kept theirs looking like an actual gun. So let's talk about these here. The ones I feel like are not as great. The Dizzy face. I like how Nougat did theirs. It looks so good. Like Apple makes it look so stupid. Like the eyes are crossed. And this is the new Google one. It doesn't look as good to me. I don't like how they changed the color of the top of the face to more orange. And I don't like how they added teeth to it too. This looks a lot better, the Google Nougat. It looked better. Here's the other companies. They all have X eyes except for Facebook. Facebook's Messenger looks really good. These ones have the swirl eyes too. Spiral eyes. Now this right here, this is one of my favorite emojis to use when I'm mad about something or angry. I like how it looks mad, but not too reddish, and it looks different from how Apple does it, just like a pure red face. But now And I like Samsung's own of this too. It looks really good. But Apple changed it to, looks like just red. It looks more reddish, not orange like. The original Apple version was more reddish. But now Google decided to make it look exactly like the Apple one. When it used to look like this on 7.0. Even on 6.0. Look at how it looked in 4.4 and 4.3. Samsung's really looks good. LG looks ugly. Messenger. I'm not really that happy with it being changed into looking exactly like the Apple one. And here's the angry face, the one that's supposed to be yellow like, but looking mad. It's still red on the Google one. But I actually like this better than the really mad one on the Android O. But that's how it used to look like on 7.0. This right here is one of my favorite emojis to use, and I like the way it looks. It looks cool. It looks like it makes the person look like a really cool person. The emoji, and the new emoji looks like a copy of Apple's. I mean, it's okay, but it's like this looks better. You know, the original, the 7.0 looks just better. Look how the 4.4 did it. They've pretty much had the same the whole way through. Apple. I like LG's. It looks pretty good, but no changes. But I don't really like the change. I like the 7.0 version of this the best. It just looks better. Now this right here is when you use when you're flirting with a girl, or if you're a girl, you're flirting with a guy, and it's just like they changed it, and it doesn't look that the lip of it goes up too much. It looks so much better with it just looks like a cool person. Like it just looks like this person's like being like flirty. This doesn't look like someone being flirty on the Google version. And the Apple one looks actually pretty good, but like this looks better. It's compared right here. It just looks a lot better on 4.4, which has been the same since 4.4, and they kept it the same on 7.0 Nougat 4.3. you know, the money one. I like how it looked in Nougat, but now they changed it with money eyes. They're green, just like how Microsoft did it. I like this. I like the Nougat version better, which was on first started in 6.0. And the last but not least, the cherry blossom. How it looked in Nougat. It just looks better in Nougat. I mean, it's a pretty type of emoji, but it just looks better the way they did it in 4.4. It could have looked a lot better than that. So now this is the most disappointing one. This is probably the most common emoji ever used. I use this emoji all the time. It's so it's really really basic emoji. It's showing a happy face, basically a smiling face, and they ruined it in the Android O. It looks really terrible. Look at how it looks. The smile, it looks too wide. The circles, You know, the red cheek things are under the eyes, which doesn't make any sense to me. How do you go from this on 4.4 to O? That looks ugly. Extremely ugly. I mean, Apple's own is just the best one. But the 4.4 was really good, and I like that. I always used it all the time. This one was this is really very disappointing. I don't like it at all. And this is one of my favorite emojis too, and they ruined it. They basically changed it the way Apple used to have it. And Apple changed theirs. Why did Google go back and change it to the old version of how Apple did it? And Apple's already changed it. This is how Apple changed it. And it used to look like this. The grimace looking face. But Google went and changed it to the same thing. You went from changing into this. Look how nice that looks. It looks really cool looking. You know, like the person's really happy. Like smiling grin, you know, like with a big grin. To a grimace. That's not a smiling face. That's a grimace. They should have kept those line teeth like that. And made the smile like that. And it would have been good. But they didn't do that. Really, really bad change to that emoji. And we have the tired face here. This is really basic one, but it looks good on Google's side, but like it's just blue. What's the point of the blue? I don't get the blue. Just keep it yellow. You know, Nougat's version actually looks really good to me. I like using that emoji sometimes. Let me see the other companies. Samsung looks really bad. Now this right here is one of you know, it's an emoji that is used a lot too. Sometimes a crying emoji, and they basically changed it to look exactly like you know, iOS's version. It used to look like this. 7.0 is the best one. Period. It looks way better than Apple's own. I mean, this looks good. It tells you what it's really doing. I don't like the blue water that's coming out of the eyes. 7.0 look way better than this Android O version. And of course, better than the Apple's own. Now the fearful face. Nougat's own look really, really good. You know, it's not too blue, and it's just different. It looks different from Apple's own. But look at the blue on here. It looks stupid on the new Android O. I don't like that blue. It could have made it look more like the Apple blue. I mean, the face itself is good. It's just it's that blue color. Should have made it look how like 7.0. And the eyes on 7.0 look really good. I mean, just made it look different. Like, but it's still, you're still giving out that same message. This one right here, same thing. That blue. But this one looks almost exactly like the Apple version, except that is that blue color. Even the water is just too blue. I don't like that. Should have made more detail like how Apple did theirs. Face screaming with fear. This one was one of the ones I like using a lot too. And look at it. It made it look exactly like Apple's own. And it's just like that blue color. I don't like it. Samsung's. Some of those are funny. Now this is one that I really, really like from Nougat. And this is probably the most coolest emoji of all of the Nougats. Of even Android emojis. But this got changed to something way worse. Well, it's not way worse, but it just doesn't look as good. It's just basically just a copy of the Apple version. Exact copy. You go from this really cool looking demon guy to that purple devil looking thing that Apple already uses. It could have kept the red and make it look like the way Apple does it. No, the original Android did it. Look at Facebook though. That looks pretty cool. And this is the last one here. The angry face, it looks exactly like the Apple one. It looks so much better on 7.0 than the new O. That's pretty much a copy of the Apple version. Samsung's own face looks really good, really looks cool. So those are my opinions on the emojis. In general, for the most part, Android O's emojis look really good, but they changed some of the ones that were actually good into not as good, like this devil looking one, and the ones I explained already. They added more detail to a lot of them. And it's a lot more detail to it, and it looks better. But some of them, like the crying emojis and the tear ones or the shocking looking ones, they don't look as good. And it looks so much better how Android did it. Was like orange and red looking, like for this one. And hopefully some of them actually get changed before the final release of Android O. And hope that they get changed, because some of them don't really look that good. And I'm really gonna miss those blobs big time. They really were the face of Android, and now they're doing everything the same as Apple and the rest of the other ones. So thanks for watching this video, and